You've probably heard the word blockchain, right? But I'm willing to bet you haven't heard the full story. For a minute, let's forget all the crypto hype, because at its heart, blockchain isn't really about digital money. It's a completely new way to build trust in a world that's becoming more digital by the second. Okay, let's get into it. So here's our game plan. We're going to start by looking way beyond Bitcoin. Then we'll break down how blockchain actually builds trust from the ground up. After that, we'll dive into some amazing real-world uses, get real about the challenges it's facing, and finally, take a peek at its decentralized future.
You know, when most people hear blockchain, their mind instantly jumps to stuff like Bitcoin or Ethereum. And hey, that makes sense. That's where it all started, right? It was the first application that really grabbed everyone's attention and made all the headlines.
But what if I told you the most game-changing parts of blockchain have absolutely nothing to do with crypto? What if the real story, the one that's quietly set to transform entire industries, is happening in places like healthcare, manufacturing, and even global trade? That's exactly what we're going to unpack.
So, how does this all work? To really get its power, you got to understand the basics that make blockchain a kind of trust machine. And it all starts with a simple but really powerful change in how we store and share information. This slide right here really nails the core idea. See, our digital world is mostly centralized. Think about a bank or a big tech company. All the data is stored on their central server. It works, sure, but it's also a massive weak spot. If that server gets hacked or just fails, everything falls apart. Blockchain flips that model on its head. It's decentralized. Instead of one database, there are tons of copies shared across a whole network. There's no single point of failure, which makes the whole system incredibly tough and transparent.
We often call this network a distributed ledger. And honestly, the best way to picture it is like a shared digital notebook. Imagine everyone in a group has an identical copy. When something new happens, a new line gets added to everyone's notebook at the exact same time. And here's the magic part. You can't go back and scribble something out or tear out a page. It creates this permanent, unchangeable record that everyone can see and trust, all without needing some central boss to approve it.
Okay, so you've got this foundation of trust. What can you build on it? Well, one of the coolest things is something called a smart contract. Now, this isn't a legal paper you sign. It's a piece of code that lives on the blockchain and automatically runs when specific things happen. It's kind of like a super smart vending machine. If you put the money in, then it's guaranteed to give you the snack. No middleman needed. Let's walk through it. It's pretty simple. First, the parties involved set the rules. Something like, if the package is confirmed as delivered, then release the payment to the seller. Second, that simple rule gets turned into code and put on the blockchain for everyone to see. And finally, the contract just does its thing. The second the delivery confirmation hits the network, bam, the payment is sent automatically. No waiting, no chasing invoices, just automated trust.
But here's the thing, blockchain isn't a one-size-fits-all deal. There are basically four main flavors. You've got public ones, like Bitcoin, that anyone can join. Then there are private blockchains, which are permissioned and perfect for a single business that needs things to be fast and confidential. Consortium chains are run by a group of companies, which is awesome for entire industries working together. And finally, hybrid chains mix and match, giving you the best of both worlds, perfect for areas like healthcare. It all just depends on what problem you're trying to solve.
All right, enough theory. Now for the fun part. Let's look at where this technology is already making a real difference. This is where it all clicks, and you can see how it's having a tangible impact on everything from tracking minerals deep in the earth to fighting a global pandemic.
And check this out, because you might find it surprising. Yeah, finance gets all the press, but the number one area where blockchain is being used today, it's supply chain management. So why is that? Well, think about it. Global supply chains are these incredibly complex webs of hundreds of companies that all have to work together, but they don't necessarily trust each other. Blockchain gives them a shared, neutral platform of truth that they can all rely on.
I mean, it's solving some of the oldest problems in the book for global trade. It lets a company trace a diamond, for example, from the moment it comes out of the ground all the way to the jewelry store. This unchangeable record makes it incredibly difficult for counterfeit goods to sneak into the system. And it can help guarantee that materials are sourced ethically by creating a transparent history that nobody can fake.
And this is not just an idea. It's happening right now. Companies are using blockchain to let you scan a QR code on your coffee bag and see the exact farm it came from. They're using it to ensure the cobalt in our batteries isn't funding conflict, and to prove that a luxury handbag is the real deal. It brings a level of trust we've just never had before in these massive, complex networks.
The technology's real-world power was put to the ultimate test during a global crisis. And as a couple of researchers pointed out in 2022, information technology was absolutely vital during the pandemic, and blockchain played a really unique and critical part.
So for instance, it was used to track medical supplies, fighting that huge wave of fake masks, and making sure vaccines stayed at the right temperature from the factory to a person's arm. It gave people a secure way to control and share their own health data without handing it all over to a central company. It even helped with contact tracing in a way that protected individual privacy.
But look, as with any technology this big, the path forward isn't perfectly smooth. It's really important to give this a reality check and be honest about the major hurdles the blockchain still needs to clear.
The biggest challenge right now is just scalability. Can these networks handle the millions of transactions a second that systems like Visa do? It's a work in progress. Then, of course, is the big one you've probably heard about, energy consumption. After that, you've got governments still figuring out the rules, different blockchains not being able to talk to each other, and yeah, it can still be pretty complex and expensive to get started.
Let's just zoom in on that energy issue for a second. The original model, which Bitcoin uses, is called proof of work. You can think of it as a constant global competition where computers burn massive amounts of energy to solve a puzzle. But the industry knows this is a problem, and it's moving to a much better solution called proof of stake. Instead of burning energy, participants lock up their own coins as collateral to verify transactions. This model, which Ethereum has already switched to, uses a tiny fraction of the energy. It's a huge step forward. And if we look way out on the horizon, there's another challenge looming: quantum computing. The encryption that keeps blockchains safe today is super strong against our current computers, but one day, powerful quantum computers might be able to break it. This is a pretty distant threat, but smart people are already working on developing new kinds of quantum-resistant code to stay ahead of the game.
So yeah, there are challenges. But despite them, the momentum here is just undeniable. So for our last section, let's look to the future, because the pace of innovation is picking up like crazy, and it's all pointing toward a more decentralized world. And you don't have to take my word for it. Just look at the data. The number of serious academic research papers on blockchain is growing exponentially year after year. This isn't just hype anymore. It's a field attracting serious brainpower from scientists and engineers who are building what comes next.
And what are they working on? Some truly mind-bending stuff. We're seeing blockchain merge with AI to create automated systems we can actually trust. It's being looked at to secure our future 6G wireless networks. And there's a huge push towards making blockchains even more sustainable. And this is a big one, finally giving each of us true ownership and control over our own digital identity.
When you pull back, you can see that all these different threads, from supply chains to AI to your own data, they're all weaving together toward this one powerful vision. The ultimate goal here is to build a digital economy that's just fundamentally better, more transparent, more efficient, and way more sustainable for everyone.
And that really leaves us with one last big question to think about. As more and more of our lives, our money, and our society move online, the cracks in our current, centralized systems are becoming clearer every day. So you have to wonder, is a new kind of internet, one built from the ground up on decentralized trust, no longer just a choice, but an inevitability?